You're not here by accident. Something deep inside you, quiet but powerful, led you to this exact moment, and by the time you reach the end, you'll understand why this isn't just another random video on your feed. It's a call from your inner self, a whisper from your soul that's been guiding you all along, softly, without noise or drama. Transcending your old self isn't some loud, dramatic rebirth. It doesn't happen with fireworks or a grand announcement. It's quiet, subtle. It unfolds within you like dawn breaking in silence. Because it's not about becoming someone new. It's about releasing what was never really yours to begin with. It's about remembering who you've always been at your core. This kind of transformation doesn't shout. It hums softly in the background. One day you just wake up and realize you no longer fit inside the version of yourself you used to cling to. The places, conversations, and even your own old thoughts, they don't quite resonate anymore. Carl Jung once said that true spiritual growth doesn't come from perfecting your personality. It comes from transcending it, letting go of everything that was built as armor or illusion. That's what remembering your essence really means. Beneath all the noise, there's a quiet, steady truth that has always lived inside you. One of the first signs that you're shifting is when you stop identifying with your past, the story you used to tell about who you are. It starts to feel distant, like watching an old movie. You still recognize it. You even remember the feelings, but it no longer defines you. You don't reject it, and you don't long for it either. You simply feel at peace when you look back. You can finally observe your journey without needing to explain it. You stop telling your story from the wound. You stop defining yourself by what you suffered or what you achieved. You just know all of it was part of the path. But your worth, that's beyond any story. What happened no longer controls who you are or limits what you can become. And in the space that used to hold guilt or pride, something new begins to grow. A gentle freedom, the ability to see your past simply as the past. This emotional distance doesn't mean detachment, it means integration. You don't need people to understand your pain anymore. You don't need validation for what you've lived. You no longer feel the urge to explain what made you who you are. You just know, and that quiet knowing, that's enough. You start noticing that things which once triggered you now move through you without leaving a trace. Words that once pierced you now dissolve. Relationships that used to anchor you to outdated versions of yourself begin to loosen their hold. Not because you're rejecting them, but because there's simply nothing left in you for them to grip. As you transcend your old self, your emotions stop running the show. Not because you've numbed them, but because you've learned to tell the difference between what's real in the moment and what's just an echo from the past. Your inner dialogue starts to change. Those old thought loops, the ones that used to replay for survival, they fade. You're no longer seeking redemption. You're not punishing yourself for who you used to be. You simply watch, understand, and move forward, as if something inside you knows every chapter before this one was necessary to bring you here. That kind of understanding doesn't come from logic, it comes from the soul. And when that awareness blooms, your old self begins to dissolve. Not because it disappears, but because you no longer live there. And when you stop living in that old identity, everything becomes lighter. You don't forget what you've been through, you just stop using it as a foundation. Your choices start to come from a place that's freer, clearer, more aligned with who you truly are, not with the story you used to tell about yourself. The things you used to say to us, "This is just how I am," or "I can't change," begin to fade, not because you fought them, but because they simply don't make sense anymore. You stop acting out of the need to protect an identity. You realize your soul doesn't need labels to feel alive. Transcending your old self isn't about destroying it. It's about honoring what it was and walking forward without dragging along what no longer serves you. You stop clinging to the persona you created to survive. You no longer repeat emotional patterns just to fit into spaces you've outgrown, and the gentleness with which you release things, the peace you feel while letting go, is the clearest sign that you're no longer vibrating from a conditioned self. You're beginning to live from your true self, the self that doesn't need to prove or defend anything, the self that simply is. Then something else happens. Your relationships begin to shift. And it's not because you planned it. It happens naturally. You start connecting from a clearer, calmer place. You stop looking for someone else to give you what you've learned to give yourself. You don't look for a savior. You don't need to be seen to feel real. Your presence is no longer something you bargain with out of fear of being alone. In the past, your relationships were built on need, on unspoken agreements rooted in pain, on unconscious emotional exchanges. But now there's space. Space to breathe, space to pause before reacting, space to observe without absorbing. When you transcend, you stop repeating emotional patterns that used to hold you captive. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You're no longer making choices from your wounds. Your sensitivity doesn't control you anymore. Your giving doesn't come from emptiness, it comes from balance. And that changes everything. Your relationships stop being mirrors of what you lack and start becoming reflections of what you already are. You no longer seek conversation to avoid silence. You no longer chase intimacy to escape yourself. You begin to share from a place of fullness, not from need. And that, right there, is the essence of transformation. When you no longer have to become anything to feel enough. When your past no longer defines you. When your emotions guide you but no longer rule you. When your story becomes a sacred memory instead of a script you're still living in. That's when you start remembering who you truly are. Even when someone doesn't resonate with you anymore, there's no drama, no resentment, because your peace no longer depends on who stays or leaves. You've stopped placing your serenity in other people's hands. And that shift, quiet but profound, changes everything. When you embody emotional independence, you discover a freedom that doesn't just liberate you, it grounds you. You stop running, you stop clinging, you just are. You become present, and that all by itself is enough. Your presence begins to change in a way that words can't fully capture. What once felt like background noise, the energy that you carried into a room, into a conversation, becomes your new language. A quiet, grounded form of love that doesn't demand, doesn't beg to be noticed, and doesn't depend on anyone's response to feel real. It's a different kind of love. Softer, deeper, steadier. It doesn't prove itself through dramatic gestures or endless promises. It doesn't perform. It just exists. Peaceful, constant, and honest. You start connecting from truth, not from fear. You no longer force yourself to maintain conversations that drain you, or relationships that exist only out of habit or history. Your energy has refined itself. It knows what aligns and what doesn't, and naturally, it filters everything that isn't meant for you. Sometimes that filtering stings. You might lose people, jobs, or situations that once felt essential. But beneath the sting, there's relief. There's clarity, because now you understand that losing what isn't aligned isn't loss, it's liberation. Your old self used to choose out of urgency. Fear of being left behind, fear of being unseen, fear of being too much or not enough. But that urgency fades when you make peace with your own silence. You no longer need to fill the quiet with noise. You no longer need constant company to feel complete. You realize that the wrong company can feel lonelier than solitude itself. And so you choose yourself. You choose stillness over chaos, truth over comfort. You walk away from what you once thought was love, because now you can tell the difference. You stop confusing intensity with truth. You stop mistaking drama for depth. You begin to see that real connection doesn't come from emotional fireworks. It comes from calm recognition. the kind of peace that feels like home. You stop trying to force understanding. You no longer feel the need to explain your evolution or convince anyone to see your growth. You just live it. You allow your energy, your presence to speak for you, and it does. Without words, your vibration begins to communicate. It resonates differently. It awakens things in others, some beautiful, some uncomfortable. Some will drift away. Others will draw closer, not from dependency, but from resonance, and you'll be at peace with both, because your center is no longer defined by who comes or who leaves. Now your center defines how people can meet you. In this new order, what stays, stays because it fits, not because it's forced. What fades, fades gently, and none of it feels like rejection anymore. It feels like clarity. That clarity is born from facing your own shadows, from diving so deep into your own darkness that you no longer need to project it outward. Your old self used to look for mirrors, people who could confirm your worth, fill your emptiness, validate your wounds. But that version of you has retired. You no longer need mirrors. You need connection, the kind that doesn't drain, doesn't consume, doesn't ask you to shrink to be loved. You've learned that true connection expands you. It asks nothing except that you be real, and when you start connecting from that frequency, everything changes. Your bonds become subtler, quieter, but more powerful. The strength of a connection is no longer measured by intensity, it's measured by frequency. That silent, steady understanding between two souls who can simply be together without pretense or performance. You learn to set boundaries, not from fear, but from love. Real love, the kind that starts with yourself. These boundaries don't push people away. They organize your energy. They create order. They protect your peace. You stop exhausting yourself trying to maintain what isn't growing with you. You stop staying in situations that no longer nourish you just because you're afraid to lose what's left. You shift to a new vibration. One that doesn't apologize for evolving. You no longer need to explain why you've changed or ask forgiveness for outgrowing your old life. You simply evolve, and that in itself is proof that your old self is no longer the one steering your life. Your soul has taken the lead, and your soul only chooses what uplifts, what nourishes, what brings you closer to truth. From this place, companionship takes on a new meaning. It's no longer about being completed, it's about sharing who you've already become. You don't seek shelter in others because you've become your own safe space. This kind of self-sufficiency isn't isolation, it's maturity, soul-level maturity. You stop carrying emotions that aren't yours. You stop absorbing pain that others refuse to transform. You no longer pour your energy into healing people who don't want to heal themselves. You no longer try to be enough by becoming less of yourself. Because now you understand, real love isn't disguised sacrifice. Real love is presence without pressure, connection without control, and in that clear, quiet connection, the most powerful things begin to unfold. You become a mirror of transformation for others, not because you're trying to fix them, but because your vibration inspires them. Your authenticity silently invites others to rise. Some will thank you for it, others will resist it. Either way, you stay at peace because your love is no longer rooted in obligation, it's rooted in freedom. And in that freedom, something profound happens. You begin to understand that the deepest bonds are not those that promise forever, but those that honor growth. That kind of connection can only exist after you've faced your own shadow, after you've met and released the older versions of yourself. Not out of rejection, but out of understanding. You start to see that your old self was never wrong. It wasn't broken. It was doing its best with what it knew, with what it had, with what it believed was necessary to survive. But survival is no longer your only goal. You're no longer hiding behind characters or masks. You don't need to perform to feel worthy of love. You don't need to earn your place in anyone's life. You simply are, and that's enough. Without seeking approval, without chasing attention, your essence begins to shine in its purest form. And in that purity, you find a new kind of intimacy, one that doesn't rely on oversharing every wound or narrating your pain. It's the intimacy of authenticity, being seen as you are right now, without the need to decorate or defend yourself. You no longer carry the weight of old disguises. You no longer crumble when you're misunderstood. You don't feel the same pain when you're overlooked or left behind. Because the source of your worth no longer lives in someone else's eyes. It lives within you, in the relationship you've built with yourself. A relationship forged through silence, through the nights you held yourself when no one else did, through the mornings you chose not to fall back into old patterns. From those moments of solitude, you've built something unshakable, self-trust. And from that trust, your old self gently steps aside, not because you banish it, but because it no longer resonates. You can now look back with gratitude, honoring that version of you for keeping you alive, even if it didn't always know how to let you thrive. Because now you're no longer surviving, you're creating. And creation, conscious, intentional creation, requires space. Space for softness, for presence, for subtlety. Because the soul doesn't need to prove its light, it just needs room to shine. From this new space of being, everything in your life begins to rearrange itself. Every relationship that stays, every opportunity that arises, every challenge that appears, all of it becomes a mirror of your new frequency. Love no longer feels heavy or consuming. It becomes support, not dependence. Connection becomes choice, not necessity. You share because you want to, not because you need to. Life starts to take on a sacred simplicity. You stop seeing things through the old lens of struggle and lack. What once looked like a mistake now feels like a lesson. What once seemed unfair now reveals a deeper design. Your perception shifts from blame to understanding, from resistance to acceptance. You no longer speak to yourself as a victim of circumstance. You recognize that even your most painful moments were teachers in disguise, guiding you toward this deeper awareness. Transcending your old self isn't just about healing, it's about awakening. It's about learning to see life from a higher vantage point where even the chaos begins to reveal its hidden order. Your relationship with time begins to change too. You stop waiting for someday. You stop rushing, forcing, chasing. You realize that the pace of your soul is slower, softer, more deliberate. You no longer measure your growth in achievements or milestones. You measure it in peace and presence, in how aligned you feel when you wake up each morning. You begin to honor silence, the pause between doing and being. You stop needing guarantees before taking the next step. You trust the process, even when you can't see the destination. Because now you understand, the soul doesn't need to know every detail to keep moving. It only needs to stay in tune with truth. That alignment becomes your compass. You no longer make decisions out of fear of making a mistake. You stop living for other people's expectations. Your choices aren't reactions anymore. They're responses. Quiet, conscious acts of self-honoring. And that shift changes everything. You stop forcing meaning out of moments. You stop trying to control how things unfold. You let life flow through you. And in that flow, you find power. Not loud, external power, but inner, grounded strength. You no longer need to prove your transformation to anyone. You don't need to broadcast your process. Your silence becomes eloquent. Your calm presence says more than words ever could. And so you begin to move differently through the world. You notice the smallest details, the way light hits a wall, the sound of your own breath, the feeling of gratitude rising for no reason. You stop chasing the next big thing. You stop measuring your worth by productivity or applause. You start measuring it by the peace you carry when you're alone, by the calm hum inside your chest even when life is uncertain. Transcendence isn't about escaping your old life. It's about seeing it with new eyes. It's living in a higher frequency while still being grounded here, in the human experience. You no longer react to life. You respond to it. And that conscious response, moment by moment, is what true transformation looks like. You begin to notice that your reality reflects your vibration. The more aligned you are, the more effortlessly things begin to flow. There's less struggle, less noise, less resistance. Synchronicities appear where chaos used to live. You stop forcing. You stop chasing. You let what's meant for you find you. And what's not meant for you, it simply fades, without drama, without pain. Even your challenges transform. They don't disappear, but they no longer break you. You face them with presence instead of panic. You no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But instead, "What is this trying to show me?" You stop fighting life and start dancing with it. You meet every experience with calm curiosity, not fear. And that's when you realize the most profound change didn't happen outside of you. It happened within. The true transformation was never about rearranging your outer world. It was about awakening your inner one. You start to see that enlightenment isn't a destination or an achievement. It's a lens, a way of seeing. When you shift your perception, the ordinary becomes sacred. The morning coffee, the quiet walk, the moments of stillness, they all begin to glow with meaning. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Your eyes no longer look for what's missing. They see what's here. Your heart no longer aches for validation. It simply radiates. You no longer pray for certainty. You live in trust. You begin to move slower inside, even when the world moves fast. You no longer chase what was never meant for you. You no longer try to hold on to what's passing. Instead, you create space for mystery, for unfolding, for divine timing. Because you finally understand life isn't happening to you. It's happening with you. And when you surrender that resistance, everything aligns. Not because you're doing more, but because you're forcing less. Your vibration becomes magnetic, not in a flashy external way, but through coherence, through truth. You attract what mirrors your inner peace. You repel what's chaotic naturally, effortlessly. Even difficulty becomes sacred. You stop needing life to be easy and start needing it to be real. You meet challenges not to win, but to stay true. You face uncertainty not to control it, but to grow through it. You stop striving to become someone. You simply be. You embody who you already are, and that embodiment, it changes everything. Quietly, deeply, completely. Because when your energy aligns with truth, reality begins to follow suit. There's no more chaos, no more struggle, just flow. Just that quiet inner whisper reminding you of what you've always known. You've transcended. And transcendence isn't loud, it doesn't announce itself. It's not a ceremony, it's a quiet knowing that settles in your bones. You realize there was never one single moment of awakening. It happened gradually. One day you just notice you don't react the same way. You don't take things personally anymore. You don't crave what used to tempt you. You're no longer chasing meaning. You're living it. You've changed. Not on the surface, but at the root. Your transformation is not about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about sitting in silence without fear. Welcoming uncertainty without losing your center. Choosing simplicity without guilt. Your energy no longer scatters outward. It consolidates, flows, aligns. It becomes a current of calm purpose. You no longer exist to maintain an image. You exist to express an essence. That essence, the real you, had always been there, waiting patiently while you were busy proving, chasing, surviving. And then one day you stopped. You let go. You chose differently. You didn't transcend by force. You transcended by truth, by choosing honesty over habit, peace over validation, presence over noise. And now, that old version of you no longer runs the show. In its place stands someone calm, grounded, authentic, someone you've finally come home to. From this place of truth, a new chapter begins. Not one where you react, but one where you respond, with intention, with awareness. You no longer seek approval because you remember your worth. You no longer seek belonging because your soul has always belonged. Here now, within. Life is no longer a race, it's a sacred unfolding. Not because everything is perfect, but because you've stopped resisting what isn't. Each day becomes a living reflection of your new energy. Every word, every glance, every step carries the quiet signature of someone who lives from their center, and that presence, it transforms the world around you. Not by force, but by resonance, because a soul that has transcended doesn't need to move mountains to change the world. Its stillness is enough. Its peace is contagious. You become living proof that healing is real. That letting go doesn't mean forgetting. That becoming doesn't mean rejecting who you were. It means honoring the journey. Every step, every scar, every pause brought you here, to this exact moment. And now your vibration speaks for you. The world responds. If these words resonate deep within you, it's not coincidence. It's remembrance. Your soul already knew. It was waiting for you to remember. Because transcending your old self isn't an ending. It's the beginning. The beginning of coming home to yourself fully, freely, and without fear. Carl Jung once said, "Enlightenment doesn't come by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's what you've done. You've faced your shadow. You've made peace with it. You've learned that your darkness was never the enemy. It was the doorway. And now you walk through it, whole, awake, unafraid, because you remember who you are. You always have. And now you finally live it.